That's July 17th, not June.
Call this meeting to order. This is the Delaware County Commissioners meeting. It's Monday, August 17th, 2023. The time is 9:05 a.m. Let's open the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Ed, could you call the roll, please?
Yes. Mr. Henry.
Here.
Mr. King.
Here.
Ms. Reagan.
Present.
Mr. Brook.
Here. Okay, we'll go to the approval of the minutes. Commissioner meeting, July 17th, 2023.
So move.
Second.
A motion to approve the minutes and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Ms. Reagan.
Yes.
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Nice job.
Next, we have presentations to the commissioners. Ted Baker with the Innovation Connector.
Good morning. Ted Baker with the Muncie Innovation Connector. We were tasked by the county commissioners to requested our help to help them with distribution of American Rescue Plan funds to small businesses in Delaware County. We submitted some earlier in July 3rd. The remaining dollars we're submitting for approval, your approval, to Gregory's Sewer and Drain Cleaning LLC, and also Foster's Fire and Security LLC, both passed the committee test, and both for $28,500 each, which will deplete the funds that we were allocated. So I'm just submitting this to your approval. The information was sent to you, and so just submitting this to your approval.
I'll make a motion to approve, both. For Gregory Sewer and Drain Cleaning and for Foster's Fire and Security. Both at, $28,500.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the request and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Ms. Reagan.
Yes.
Mr. Henry.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Baker, for working on those for us. We greatly appreciate
Appreciate it,
that.
Ted.
It's our pleasure, and thank you for getting money into the hands of small businesses in our community. That's well done. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have contracts and agreements for approval. Peterson Consulting Services Engagement Letter. Mr. Carroll.
Yeah, this is actually a contract that's, we're renewing or requesting a renewal. They actually compile all of our capital assets, roads, bridges, et cetera. So we can amortize those, and that's part of our state requirements. They passed about 3 years ago for a gas report each year.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the Peterson Consulting Services Agreement and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Ms. Reagan.
Yes.
Mr. Henry.
Yes. Next, we have trucks and imports easement agreement. John?
Yes, this is an easement agreement that I handed the document to Sarah. This is for the trail along 23rd Street out there in the Industrial Center as part of the property acquisition. This has been negotiated with the owner, and Brad approves it, and it's now ready for your signature.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve this easement agreement and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Ms. Reagan.
Yes.
Mr. Henry.
Yes. Next, we have ordinances for first reading. Ordinance number 2023-017, extend the moratorium on the solar farms to December 31st, 2023. John?
Yes, your moratorium for solar farms expires on August 21st of this year, and the latest update I received from the Planning Commission was that the committee hasn't quite finished their work yet. They have a consultant evidently they've hired that they still need to meet with. And so, at your suggestion, I drafted another ordinance to extend the moratorium to December 31st. Hopefully the committee will have their work done by then. And this is a first reading.
So move.
Second.
So we have a motion for introduction of ordinance number 2023-017 and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Ms. Reagan,
Yes.
Mr. Henry.
Yes. Go to resolutions for approval. 2023-017 is Delaware County Commissioners accepting state public health funding. Jamie?
Good morning, Commissioners. Jamie Bain, Administrator of the Health Department. You guys should have before you a resolution that was provided by the State Health Department with a couple minor revisions, intended to opt in for the Health First Indiana money you guys are aware of. So I'm here today, one, to request an official opt-in by the Commissioners, and two, to also give you a brief update on the current status of our building.
And your boards approved this, or they're waiting for us?
Yes, our board has approved the receipt of this. We're still working through the details on individual line items and the programs that it'll fund.
Was it unanimous that your board accept this?
Yes.
Thank you. I move we approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the agreement of the resolution and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Ms. Reagan,
Yes.
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Thanks for all your work on this.
When you get a budget prepared, I know this is going to be an ever-evolving program, but when you get a budget prepared, could you submit that to us and the council members?
Yes, I definitely will. We have one probably about 95% completed right now.
Okay,
The reason I say we don't have everything finalized on details is that the budget that we're submitting for approval is going to be very broad. So it'll have, for example, a large sum of money in contractual services or a large sum of money in advertising. But we don't yet know the specific programs that we'll try to tackle next year, like diabetes or smoking or maternal health. So we have it in the large buckets of what we're going to be trying to do with it, but we'll fine tune it once we get some new staff in early in the year.
And your next board meeting for your board is when? And where?
It is this Thursday at 7 p.m. at our office.
And the public's welcome to come and make
Yes.
suggestions. Thank you.
The only other thing I had for you was the update of our building. So
Oh, good.
timing wise, this has worked out perfectly. As you guys are aware, commissioners funded through ARP funding, renovation of our building to get our clinic more up to speed to handle future emergencies like we had with the pandemic. The timing on it has been perfect that we have this project underway right now, should be completed by the end of the year, in time for us to roll in the new staff, get everything going, kind of a good head start there. We had the first floor all emptied out. Special thanks to EMA and EMS for helping us out over there. Right now, today actually started the asbestos remediation. There was some asbestos in a portion of the popcorn ceiling and in a portion of some mastic that was used in the floor tiles from the past. Once that's done, the actual project starts this month.
What did that add on to your budget?
That renovation, I believe, was 18,000. That still puts us well under what the commissioners budgeted.
Good. And we might as well talk about flu season and COVID boosters. You're still doing those or will be doing?
Yeah, I have not heard any info yet on the, this season's flu vaccine or the effectiveness, anything like that of that. But we will be offering it at our office, and COVID boosters as well.
Of course, the pharmacies are helping do that too, so that's a big help for you.
Yeah.
what's the charge on those?
When it comes to the COVID vaccine for the boosters, it's free. The flu vaccine, we bill insurance.
Okay.
If someone does not have insurance, it's a $20 fee for copay. It's like an office fee.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Maybe that's something you could put in your budget for the people that don't have $20.
That's a possibility.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we have, resolution number 2023-018, truck lease for the highway department.
I received a, series of leases, or one lease, actually, one master lease for the lease of equipment, two dump trucks, two tractors,
tractors.
and a mower, for the highway department to lease. Sarah has all the paperwork, there's leases and whatnot that have to be signed as well. But approving this resolution will give the highway department the authority to enter into these various documents and agreements as well.
And it's a 10-year lease,
It is a
Uh,
10-year lease,
These are 10-year?
yes.
but
they were
there's a
5
buyout.
years.
There's a buyout after 5, but yeah.
Oh, that's what it is.
Okay.
Wow, after
I
5.
know normally we do these for like the police vehicles and stuff
Right.
like that, and after 5 years to pay it off.
Yep, yeah, there's a, I think after in the 4th year, there is a loan payoff amount in the amortization schedule.
And at least with doing leases, we don't have to pay everything out front, and we can actually get more equipment over these years.
Yeah.
I make a motion to approve.
Second,
The first payment's this year. Then there's 2 payments in 24, 2 in 25, 2 in 26, 2 in 27, and 1 in 28.
Mhm.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve that resolution for the leases. Roll call, please.
Mr. King,
Yes,
Ms. Reagan,
yes.
Ms. Henry.
Yes. Department heads or elected officials.
Morning, Commissioners. Jeff Hanser, Chief Probation Officer, Delaware County. I'm here today to give the Commissioners a few updates on 3 different initiatives the Probation Department's been working on over the past year or so. The Commissioners have been a part of these initiatives in one way or another, so I wanted to come in today and give you an update. I think overall, I want to give this update. There's a quote that's attributed to President Teddy Roosevelt, that if you complain about a problem without offering a solution, you're whining. And so, yeah, I think it's important to, for the commissioners and the public to understand that there's a lot of folks in the county, probation department and others. Excuse me, I just came up the stairs, so I'm a little winded, but for people to understand that there's a lot of people in the county government working on solutions to problems out there, and that's important. So first, I want to update the commissioners on the JUMP program, which is the employment program we began this year out of the probation department. We just recently hit our first 6-month anniversary of the program, and it's really gone very well and kind of exceeded our expectations. We're working on getting some of our probation offenders skilled up with job skills and getting them employed in the community with fill some of the vacancies that the local employers have. Recently we had our first graduating cohort. We had a group of JUMP participants go through a graduation ceremony over here at Ivy Tech downtown. And it was really a great program and a great way to spend the morning and celebrate their success. A few of the participants that graduated, I've known for many years, and I, quite frankly, am surprised some of them are not dead or incarcerated. And to see them successfully complete this program and have gainful, meaningful employment, really, it's kind of what keeps us in the work that we do, which can be very tough at times and kind of disheartening. But seeing some of these successes that we're having was, creates a little bit of hope, and we need to keep building upon that. So the biggest thing that kind of came out of this, also, one thing I kind of really didn't anticipate is the collaboration piece. We've been working pretty closely with Ivy Tech on this program. And they have one of their staff come into our office a few days a week. So not only are we getting some of our probation clients employed, we're also getting many of them enrolled at Ivy Tech. And Chancellor Scott and his team's been very great to work with, and we're getting them enrolled in education. I have our team up here. Emily Stoltz is our JUMP program coordinator. She's going to come up and kind of give you some numbers.
Good morning. Thank you guys for the opportunity to talk about this. Right now, we're sitting at 220 clients total. This includes people who have graduated as well as people who have been working, who are waiting to be placed, and all that stuff. So we're looking pretty good. Like Jeff said, the graduation, we had 14 total graduate, 7 showed up to the ceremony. And it was just really great. It was a good time. We celebrated them, and we're just really thankful that we have this opportunity. So thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
John Bush, probation officer John Bush, he'll kind of give you a quick update, kind of the future of the program, where we're headed over the next 6 months.
Good morning, Commissioners, and everybody present today. Thank you for having us. Really, I'm just here to kind of talk about the bigger picture. What the JUMP program has done, I think, in the first 6 months is, we've always had that big question of how do we reduce recidivism? How do we keep people on the right track and avoiding the process of incarceration and prosecution and cost of the taxpayers? So I can say that without any doubt, we've been successful in our endeavors of redirecting individuals towards better educational and employment pathways, aside from just the old way of doing things years ago, where they come in and we talk to them and say, well, you need to get a job and you need to do this and you need to do that. It's more or less the model now follows to where they're in the car doing the driving and we're in the passenger seat holding the map. And we're seeing a pretty high degree of success with, we have 200 clients. We have, of the ones that are working, we have a 60+% success rate. So I think the bigger picture and looking forward is we are going to be researching grant funding. We would like in the future to get Emily some support, maybe a support staff person to help with intakes, because our volume is climbing exponentially. I think we're averaging 3 to 5 a week. We haven't even expanded to city court yet. So we're opening this up into all sectors. So it started out with manufacturing, as you all may have seen in the newspaper recently. We rebranded our name from Judicial Users Manufacturing Partnerships to Judicial Upward Mobility Partnerships. So we're expanding to other sectors of employment, which is hospitality and landscaping. We're working with the union. We have tremendous expansion in all sectors in Delaware County with employers because we've seen a need, and not everybody can work in a factory, we've learned. So our expansion is going in that direction. And in the first 6 months, I mean, we're evolving so quickly and adapting to the needs that we have. And it is very nice to see the collaboration with all the other entities. We are looking into community transportation options where we might partner with other corporations to work on a commuting van for some of these places, because we have industry out in Portland and we have Albany and other places outlying that need help as well. So we're working on those solutions as part of our long-term plan. And I believe by the first of next year, we're going to try to secure enough funding to get her some support, as well as maybe recruiting mentors. So we're starting to see where mentors are effective, as we've seen with our IRACS program, with our community peer support, of having individuals that want to work with the program to be out there in the field, checking in on these folks and helping them and encouraging them and getting them moving along. So we have a lot of things on the horizon and we're excited. So again, we're really here to thank you for your support and what our intentions are of securing funding for next year for Emily's salary, as well as any support staff that we can set up. So that's where we're looking, and things are pretty bright right now, and we're really excited for what next year has to hold. So thank you.
Thank you, John.
And just to kind of piggyback on that, next week, the team and I will be, we're going to talk to some city officials about participating in the funding process for that position next year. So we'll keep you posted on those developments. The biggest thing, as John likes to say, is of all the programs, and he referenced IRACS, and that's the next one I'll give an update on, is that, more than just the economic value or the recidivism rate of our offenders, the success out of this comes out of providing connection and purpose to citizens. in this county. Even though, some of these folks are under court supervision with our program, they're still citizens of this county. We still owe them an obligation to try to get them going in the right direction, on the right track. So I want to give the commissioners also an update on the IRACS program. We're a year in on IRACS. It started last year in July of 22. And to borrow a term from the military, it's been the best force multiplier for the probation department that I could have thought of, that we could have ever had. The IRACS team, the Integrated Reentry and Correctional Support folks, have done an outstanding job. They have a jail division, a reentry component, and then in the probation department, they have a community supervision team. And all of those entities have integrated into the criminal justice system very well. You may have seen on some of the sheriff's department social media posts about some graduates from some programming that they have done in there, have done an awesome job. As folks are coming out of the jail into the probation department, they're able to kind of have a, as they call it in the system, a warm handoff to the community team. We, in the past, the probation department, I had officers, if they had a client that needed to get to treatment or needed treatment, I had people had to spend half a day calling treatment centers. Do you have openings? What kind of insurance do you take? When's that bed going to be available? And, the IRACS folks, they take care of all that now. So that is just, in terms of man hours utilized, has saved us tremendously. And we've seen a lot more success with our clients. That peer recovery model, believe it or not, even a judge ordering a person to go to treatment or to work to get to recovery didn't work. That kind of peer recovery model really is a real motivator for a lot of our clients, because they, those IRACS folks, they have been there, they understand what it is, and they can relate on a level that many of us professionals that work in the system can never connect with the offenders. So Shane Earhart is the supervisor. He's been great to work with. Jamie Whitaker and Kimber Reynolds up in Portland all work very well within the context of the system. We're glad to have them and look forward, as John kind of mentioned, looking forward to expanding their service array and into the future. So I know there's a lot of interest in that. And so just from my perspective and my position, we would keep encouraging that relationship. Last but not least, the third program I want to give the commissioners update on is on our Juvenile Detention Alternatives Initiative. Continues to really grow and thrive. JDAI, as it's known, is a program aimed at developing a more rehabilitative approach to juvenile offenders. There's always going to be a need to place some juvenile offenders in the secure detention facility we have in Delaware County for some of those higher level offenses. They may commit higher level felony offenses. And we do that, pretty frequently. However, we get a vast majority of our referrals or the contacts that law enforcement have with juveniles is there's kids are struggling out there. And I think for those of us that have worked or work in the system, we see that. If you look at any of the reporting out of the Centers for Disease Control post-pandemic, the mental health state of kids in the country these days. The Indiana Youth Institute has done some reporting coming out of the pandemic. We're now paying the cost for what was going on 15, 12 years ago when the opioid crisis started. And we're seeing those kids now that maybe were exposed to drugs in utero. They're teenagers now, and they're struggling and having a lot of issues. Social media's played a role in this. I mean, so many issues come up with juveniles because of social media issues and problems. So, these kids are suffering from a lot. Complex trauma, they have cognitive issues, and there's just a lot going on there. So, I sit out juvenile court every Wednesday, and when I'm sitting behind those kids that are on the hot seat, as we call it, many of them have the same sad story. They are being raised by a grandparent or maybe an aunt. They have a parent that's dead. either from drug overdose or some other means. They may oftentimes have a parent that's incarcerated or has been incarcerated, you know, the acts they may commit, some of these things are an outward manifestation of what they've been through. We have, again, you know, reference connection and purpose. We have a whole group of kids and a whole group of individuals out there in the community that are just totally disconnected from anyone, really, supportive adults especially, that can help them. So we have a very modest grant we get every year from the state, around $50,000, and I'm very proud that, you know, for the money that we do get, we get that out into the community with a lot of community programs that are working at very oftentimes the neighborhood level with families and youth in the community and trying to help them. Some of the partners we have, law enforcement, we've hosted a number of events with Muncie Police Department, try to get kids and cops connected in a non-confrontational and a positive way. We work with the Muncie Parks Department. They have a summer youth program, very popular with kids. They get paid $100 a week to go out here, help beautify the community, work on projects. A lot of grassroots agencies, the school systems, and other things. We've made a lot of progress in developing alternatives and really trying to get kids that are struggling more connected with positive folks in their lives. You know, we have a 90% success rate with kids that are, you know, we don't detain them necessarily for some lower level type offenses. We put them on some type of community alternative. 90% of them, they show up at court, they don't have another problem, get an arrest while their situation's pending. So it's a very successful program, and we really appreciate, I know Commissioner Reagan's been in some of our meetings. We're going to have to do more of this, though. I think obviously everybody understands that, but I think it's important to understand we already have the infrastructure and the processes in place to do this. There's already many community agencies out there that are doing the work. We just need, as you know, from my position as a government entity, to help build those organizations up and those people up that are doing that work. So we appreciate the commissioner's support. I have some of the folks here today that we work with. We have a very diverse array of community partners that are participating in these programs. There's a program called Credible Messenger that we're working on right now. And very soon we'll be having some outreach to community members who want to get involved in mentor with young people in the community that need it the most. So that's really going to help us and really kind of divert folks and divert young people from getting involved in the criminal justice system in the first place. There's no better way to be tougher on crime than to prevent it from happening in the first place. And really that's our intent and aim. So appreciate the commissioner's support in all those endeavors as well.
Thanks
you.
for some good news. And sorry about the terrible stories that we've heard, but there is hope. And thanks to all your leadership, your
thank you.
team.
Yeah, I mean,
Have your team members stand up.
yeah, wait, folks.
Yeah, wow.
It's a great diverse array of folks. I mean, there's a lot of people. I mean, I will say this, I've been working in this field 25 years or so now. And the good thing about the probation department, I have delinquency data reporting going back to the 50s. And a couple months back, I was born in 1974. So I shared the delinquency statistical report for the year 1974. And when I showed that, and someone recently brought it up again, there was an absolute juvenile crime wave going on in this community. I mean, the number of burglaries and there was homicides, armed robberies. So there's a form of bias that people can buy into that's called rosy retrospection. So in other words, and we're all prone to do this, right? In the good old days, things weren't like this. When I was young, that sort of thing. Every generation says this. People were saying that in the 70s, they were saying it in the 60s. Now the problems today, we're dealing with maybe a different set. Gun crimes, certainly, there's more exposure to firearms for young people, but holy cow, kids have always had problems, and there always been juvenile delinquents, and we've always addressed it and taken care of it. So nothing's changed in that regard. So we have to really be careful that we don't fall into that thinking trap. And we just have to work together and collaborate, and we have to, I don't have the solution, probation doesn't have the solutions, community members do. That it takes the community to rectify these issues. So we'll do what we can to support our community and to build them up and to strengthen them. And that's what I would encourage other people to do in that regard as well.
Thank you very much.
We
Jeff.
appreciate you and your team, all the work you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Any other department heads or elected officials?
That's a tough act to follow.
Yeah, no one wants to get up. I don't blame them.
Yeah.
We have the weights and measures monthly report. Everybody received a copy of that. We have the payment of claims of $3,077,219.43, and the payment of ARP claims of $89,462.81.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion to pay the claims and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Ms. Reagan,
Yes.
Mr. Henry.
Yes. Now we have, it's time for public comment. I want to remind everybody, you'll have 3 minutes to speak. And our first name that signed up was Harold King.
Harold King, 18300 North, 850 West, Gaston. First of all, to you and to the people working to help prevent and help young kids, kudos to you. Missing link that he mentioned briefly, 42 years in education, and we need the same outreach to parents. And I'm sorry, kids don't need a best friend, they need a parent. And a lot of experience in that way. First of all, thank you for continuing the solar ordinance. I hope you're continuing to follow all the news nationwide about solar. More and more information is coming to light, and it's not the great endeavor that so many people believe. Even in California, they're starting to become concerned about the environmental impact. And I'm not against solar. It has a place. Windmills have a place. But those places are residential area. My neighbor has some panels on her roof, good for her. Brown areas. But never do they have a place on farmland. We depend on that for our food supply. And folks, they're not making any more farm ground. And it hurts me to see people propose putting solar panels on farm ground. So appreciate your time and keep up the good work.
Thank you. Next is, I might butcher this, is it Kathy Kirtley?
Good morning to you all. My name's Kathy Kirtley. My husband Jerry Kirtley and I are from the Gaston area. I'm speaking also in behalf of several hundred property owners in the Gaston, Washington Township area that we are against industrial solar on farmland. It seems like a little bit like deja vu from a year and a half ago. Hope it doesn't sound like a broken record, but, you know, we feel very seriously that it's an issue that we've got to rectify and address. We're still encouraging you all to please do your research on solar energy placement. Just in this past year, there continues to be so much additional damning information against solar on farmland. Harold mentioned several things, but in those things are property value declines, toxic chemicals, contamination into the soil and water, flood and drainage accountability, foreign companies that own these energy companies. So the income from that is going out of the US, plus the panels are made mostly in China. So that's all big concerns. I could go on and on with the list of the negative things about this, but I know you all realize the seriousness of the decisions that need to be made to put in a solid solar ordinance plan for Delaware County. Several other counties in Indiana are making sensible decisions to ban industrial solar on productive farmland. There's no amount of incentive money that's going to help replace the ruined farmland that this is going to destroy. I know the state has passed some things for incentives, and money isn't always the answer. We have to have productive farmland. We just would love for you to make Delaware County a leader in what is doing right for everyone concerned. And I know you all are researching this more, and hopefully by the end of the moratorium, we will have a study committee report that's going to help re-guide the ordinance into something that will stand up to what we do and do not want for Delaware County. Every time I look at the Delaware County insignia, right behind Shannon, I see farmland. I don't see solar panels, so we want to keep it that way. Thanks for all your time.
Thank you. Patricia Lennon, I believe.
Good morning, Commissioners, and thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Patty Lemon, and I am from Elm Lake out in Gaston. There was supposed to be some talk, discussions about our roads and our bridges in the community and whether to come out and inspect them or not, and that's why I'm here. Been speaking to several people over the last few years, trying to get some assistance with our road, our bridges, things like that.
Which bridge are you talking about?
It's Elm Lake. It's right off of 1070 off Angler Club Road. There's a neighborhood back there with a little lake. And, originally it was a gravel pit. And when they were putting in Eaton Wheeling Pike, all the residents were asked to donate.
That's private property
Yeah,
though,
we
back there.
cannot
It
go
is
on the
private
private
property.
property.
Yeah.
The culverts and stuff have been maintained several times over the last few years by the county. They've came out and cleaned them out a couple times. It is a
How
private
many you want to
lane.
speak to that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Tommy Humbert, Delaware County Highway Department. We've had several calls from probably you, ma'am, and other people. It's private property. The only thing we did was, there was like an emergency on the culvert, that they had. We did no maintenance on it. We loaned them a barrel, so people wouldn't wreck into the creek. It was just a courtesy. We have done no work out there. And it's private property.
Yeah.
But I've explained that over and over to several people. I mean, there's nothing I can do. It would like be going to her property, and I can't do that, you know?
We'll get in trouble if we go on private property and do any work.
Well, we were speaking on the fact that, the backside of the lane, when they had the switch in trash companies,
Yeah.
our lane had been maintained over the last 75 years by the residents that have lived here. And then all of a sudden, the little private man who had the trash, Mr. Hildreth, he sold out. And all of a sudden, we get this big truck that's mandated to come in. I've called several times to them and asked them if they could bring a smaller truck. The propane guy, his truck is so big, those bridges don't hold that. The bridges are
Yeah.
falling apart. There's no banister on one side of
I
them.
do
They
know,
came
I
out-
do know that the Board of Health has been out there to inspect some
Correct, they're
trailers or
empty
trash.
properties.
So you might, Jamie, he had to leave, but you might
Told
talk.
to go to the Board of Weight and Measures and put something on the bridge so that those large trucks can't come through. over the last 8 years, the trucks have destroyed the lane. There's
Yeah.
hardly any way that if you had a fire out there, there's not a fire hydrant within a mile. You know, there's nothing that, you know, emergency crews, anything like that, can't possibly get to that backside of the lane. And almost, there's only 5 residents.
Suggestions that who she could,
Well, if it's private property, then they should band together as property owners to figure out how to fix the bridges.
yeah,
Okay, but it's a small nonprofit organization that we pay just to have lake maintenance. Our budget is $3,600 a year, and that includes buying gravel to fill our potholes and things like that, you know, grading the lane, some snow removal, and our income is $4,100. That leaves us $390 a year to
And-
come together.
now, and,
I think you're gonna have to increase your assessments, because that's the only way it gets done, is the private owners are gonna have to do the work out there.
Right
since
now,
it's a
there is
private
only
property.
5 households that are employed. Everybody
and-
else is on fixed income, and
John, in our zoning, at one time, that was a seasonal, but I think people are living there year-round.
They are.
So,
Okay,
um,
but it's still private property.
right, but what I'm saying, even the zoning, I wondered if we've ever changed that.
at the beginning, it was, like I said, it was a gravel pit. And when Eaton Willing Pike was being built, they asked all the residents and everybody to donate what they could, materials or what. So we donated, you know, gravel from our pit to construct Eaton Willing Pike. And all we're asking is to see if there's some assistance to somebody to come out. I mean, it's unsafe. You know, anybody comes through there, there's not a railing on one side of the bridge, and that's what they came. They brought us a cone 2 years ago to put on the side of the bridge, you know? And then there's trash trucks that are 100 billion tons driving across our little bridge. You know, I mean, it's just something that we can't afford to do. And we know there's funding out there if anybody can guide us to where we need to go or what needs to happen. You know, I would love to at least have something to tell the trash truck that they gotta bring a smaller truck. You know, I mean, the same with the propane, the FedEx and everything, that's okay, they can fit across that bridge. But if you saw the picture of the trash truck trying to go across that bridge, it's ridiculous. You know, if it was your neighborhood, you'd want something done to, private or not. You know, it wasn't our fault that it ended up a private neighborhood. It almost ended up a piece of Ball State as some of their wildlife area, you know?
You know, I wish you well, but there's just nothing we can do, really.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Thanks.
Sorry.
How many residents are out there? I was trying to find it on Beacon.
Yeah.
I think you're missing 5.
25 lots, okay, thank you. Next is Tim Nickum.
Good morning, Tim Nickum, rural Delaware County. The solar committee, of which I was privileged to belong to along with my friend John Catino, I would just say that every one of those meetings were lively, a lot of good debate, contentious at times, and I can understand why there has been difficulty compiling voice recordings and notes, and I can see how anyone could very easily perhaps not get everything properly put into a report. So I would just like to suggest that when this report is done, perhaps the committee could meet with a copy of that report to go over that and make sure that it was in fact translated and put together according to the spirit of where we ended up there. John, would you agree that that would be a good idea?
I believe that that is the intent, is
Good.
once the report is put together, then they want to meet with the solar committee again and go over that report. So that is the intent.
Yeah, I think that's important. And, you know, now that a year and a half has passed since we've gotten into all of this business, like Kathy and like Harold said, there is so much more information now that is available, that has come to light with other communities who have allowed this to happen. And a lot of our worst fears we're starting to see play out. And the one thing that encourages me is, because I was on the committee, I tried to find out as much as I could. there are a lot of counties, both in Indiana and across the Midwest, basically, that are now seeing that moratoriums are the way to go. Pause like you all did a year ago, try to get this straightened out. And we're seeing a lot of just flat out bans now. You know, we don't want to go this direction. No more solar. So as much time as we have all put into this, it wouldn't break my heart at all if you just decided to end this whole matter right now and just say this county is not going to entertain this prospect, because of one thing I'm convinced has not changed, and there are two winners when you allow industrial solar into your committee, and those are the LLCs and companies that are getting the tax credits and the tax subsidies to put them in, and the landowners who lease. Everyone else is a loser. That's becoming pretty obvious. So, thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
All right, that was the last person that had signed up. We need to all remember the victims and the families that were involved in the shooting that occurred here in Delaware County a couple weeks ago. And also the first responders that responded to that chaotic scene. I know our sheriff's department and EMS both responded to that scene and did a perfect job, like always. They also responded to the hospital, to scenes that were, or incidences that were taking place at the hospital. So, thank you to all you guys. And again, remember the victims and the families that were, involved in that tragic incident. That being said, I'll entertain a motion for recess.
Second.
We have a motion for recess and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Ms. Reagan,
Yes.
Mr. Henry.
Yes, we're recessed.
Thank you.